Hello everyone and welcome to a redesigned midsize SUV, the 2025 Buick Enclave. Oh, and forget your old grandpa Buick because this new one is completely fresh, stylish and advanced. So this 2025 Buick Enclave is offered in three different trims: Preferred, Sport Touring and the Avenir. And the particular variant that I'm reviewing is the Sport Touring, and the difference between different models is a bit of changes in terms of the front grille and also the features that is offered. Preferred being the base variant, whereas the Avenir being the top of the line. And on this you have this blacked out grille, whereas on the other variants there are like chrome bits provided, which is for the Avenir package, and on the base variant there's like a colored grille, gray one. But let's start with this Sport Touring. So you have this meshed grille, very huge one, and that's all in glossy black. There's also an ST badging in black for the Sport Touring, more glossy black plastics given at the bottom too, with extra bit of cooling here also. And the design is very similar to the other Buick lineup, which is the Envista. You can click on the pop-up banner out here, you can watch the detailed review video of that. Or the Encore, again you can click on the pop-up banner out here and you can watch the detailed review video of that too. And Buick has redesigned all these models in just over 18 months, a little over 18 months, and that's a huge feat. So let's continue. Then we have more black plastic around here, then the Buick badging on top of the hood. And just like my previous car, which was the GMC Acadia, there is a power point given on the right side. Again, you can click on the pop-up banner out here and you can watch the detailed review video of that Acadia too. But it's the same position on the right side, so you have to be careful whenever you're driving this car, especially on the right side, so that you don't damage that power point here. And at the bottom there are no fog lights or anything, but just a smooth running bumper. And on top it starts out as a curvy and then it just suddenly becomes like a huge sort of vertical block. And then you have these split headlights, so the top bits are the DRLs, and those same DRLs also convert into the turn signals. It also feels somewhat inspired from a Corvette. Yeah, and then the split headlight, the main headlight cluster sits here. So this is a fully LED headlight cluster, and the reason that it sits down is that when you are following a car, it doesn't dazzle the driver when they look at your car from the rear view mirror. And underneath this bonnet sits a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. So this Enclave is a 7-seater mid-size SUV, and when you look at it from the side, it is pretty long. And this Enclave is the biggest model available from Buick's lineup. And on this Sport Touring variant of the Enclave, there are these 20-inch dual tone alloy wheels with the Buick badging in the middle, this ST blacked out badging on the side, and on the fenders there are these claddings which are in glossy black plastic. Even at the bottom there are skirtings in glossy black, but they do not cover the door frame completely till the bottom. Even in the back there are these extra protections provided. On top there are these glossy roof rails given. There are these glossy black surround around these windows too. And when we come to these doors, so all 4 doors are the keyless entry doors. There's also ST badging on the door sills on the front and even in the rear too. When we come to these side mirrors, these are the glossy black side mirrors. They are power foldable, they are power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning on the inside, one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system, and also a turning light. And this Enclave is an all-wheel drive system, but as standard you can keep it as a front wheel drive, and it's a selectable all-wheel drive system. Now in the rear there are full set of LED tail lights, turn signals, brake lights, reverse lights, everything is in LED. The reverse lights are sitting here at the bottom, whereas the turn lights and the brake lights are here. And there is also this LED bar, and it's a functional bar that connects, so it's a very simplified design that way in the back. And then there is this Buick badging in the back and the glossy black bumper with the towing hooks provided at the bottom, which are the covered ones. So you have to open this and then you will be able to trailer or attach anything to this car. And then at the bottom there are these dual exhaust tips. They are the rectangular exhaust tips and they are the functional ones, they are the chromed ones. In terms of the visibility, it's actually all right, although a little narrow and restricted, and there is more of the upper level visibility, but not too bad. There are just some thick pillars around. There's also a spoiler in dual tone. The top side is body color, at the bottom it's the glossy black plastic. Now there is also the Enclave badging in chrome, all-wheel drive, and also the Buick badging here. Now in order to open the trunk door, there is a button provided, but as you see, if you have the key inside your pocket, this is like a smart feature. It automatically opens the trunk door because the car thinks that you have to put some stuff on the inside. Now you can disable this feature from inside the infotainment screen, because yeah, every time you go behind this car, it has opened the trunk door, which can become a bit annoying sometimes, because I don't want the car to open the trunk door all the time, because I'm just sort of passing around the car sometimes. But yes, you do have to stand for a good 2 seconds so that the car can open the trunk door. But anyways, yeah, you can disable it too, so that's under your control. There are scuff plates given in the back so that you don't damage your glossy black bumper. There's also a trunk light in the trunk door. There are tying points given on either side, along with a 12-volt power socket. And when the third row of seats are folded up, you can put 23 cubic feet of luggage, which is fairly decent. Again, it's very similar. The trunk space is exactly identical to the GMC Acadia, and also it's very similar in terms of its feature to the Cadillac XT6. So you can click on the pop-up banner out here, you can watch the detailed review video of that too. I have done every single lineup of mid-size SUV, the luxury version and the normal versions from the GM's lineup. The last one remaining is the Chevrolet Traverse, and that is coming next week. So I have tested all 4 mid-size SUV, so make sure to check all the videos out and see which one fits your need. And the trunk floor has additional bit of storage, and this stays as it is. And then this is the cable provided. You remember that port on the right side in the front on the bumper, this cable is for that. And there's more storage here too, and the spare wheel sits at the bottom of this floor, additional storage, so you have to unlock these 4 bolts and then remove that. Now the third row of seats are foldable electronically, and the buttons are provided here on the right side. In order to do that, again, this one is also quite rapid, so it just does the action very quickly. You see that it just takes about 2 to 3 seconds. So let's fold down both the seats. Now the other side of the seat hasn't folded down, the reason being that if the second row of seat is a little too far back, then yeah, it can hamper the functioning of those seats. So let me just move the second row of seat ahead, and then we can fold down. Now when the third row of seats are folded down, you can put 57 cubic feet of luggage, which is pretty good, and it's even, it's like flat, there is no step or anything in the trunk floor. Now even the second row of seats though are captaincies, but they are foldable. So they are foldable electronically, but you cannot fold them up electronically, it just folds down. But let me do that, and they go down immediately. Now once you fold the second row of seat, this huge space can accommodate 98 cubic feet of luggage, which is ample of storage that you can use. And still essentially you can use this as a 5-seater plus with a lot of luggage. So yeah, in terms of the storage, it's going to eat up a lot of things. And then if you want to close it, because you cannot swipe your leg or anything to close the door, you still have to press this button and close the trunk door. Now the first thing that I want to mention is that something which was there in GMC Acadia is also present on this Buick Enclave too, and that is the way to switch on the headlight. So it's on this infotainment screen. Inside that there is an option, and then you switch it off, auto, on, and then again, yeah, if this screen stops working. So yeah, that's again another thing. Then there is the dome light, so you want to switch on these lights, then that option is also inside. But even in the Acadia, there was the fog light option which was inside, because this car doesn't have fog lights, so that option isn't on the inside. And if you have to press the parking button, the parking lights, that switch is given on the roof. Again, that's also like the other cars from GM's lineup. So yeah, those are the same sort of, you know, options that are given around even on this Enclave. But the first thing that you notice is this big 30-inch curved LCD display. I'm going to come to that, but let me first begin with the material quality. This soft touch material on top of the dashboard, and this dashboard is like multi-layered, like there are so many steps on that. I like the look of this dashboard. It's very minimalist and it's also very stylish. Plus these color combinations on the inside, they don't make the screen feel like right in your eye, especially when you're driving, because that was my biggest concern. But yes, with this color combination, it's actually pretty all right. And then on the side face, there is plastic soft touch material again here. Even on the dash, on the side face, that's again soft. The door cards have the soft touch material. Where you're going to be resting hands, that's black color leather with white color stitching. Only at the bottom there is normal plastic. Even here, this floating center tunnel, that's also covered with the leather material on the sides. So again, that's also pretty soft. And then there is this huge area at the bottom that opens up like a big storage. I like this floating design also, very cool to look at. Then glossy plastics around the air conditioning controls, this leather covered steering wheel. So yes, overall the material quality is pretty decent, including these seats, which are the black color leather seats with the white color piping and the white color stitching. Now let me first come to this screen, because this is the main thing on the inside that you will notice on this Enclave. So as I said, this is a 30-inch curved display, LCD one, and it sort of starts from the driver's side, and it includes the driver's display and the infotainment screen. Whereas this side of the infotainment screen is the touch area. The middle side, which is the driver's display, that's not touch. Whereas on the edge, again, there is touch feature for the heads up display. So let me begin first with the heads up display, because that side of the screen on the left handles the heads up display. It's straightforward on and off on screen button, and then you can adjust the brightness, height, and the rotation. That's about it. You cannot control what information that you see, but on the heads up display there is wide amount of information for navigation, cruise control, speed limit, and also the digital speed that is shown there. And it's about the right size and not too, you know, big and in your eye. And then we come to this driver's display, which the thing is that this screen, although it's like a 30-inch big one, but then some parts of it is still covered by the steering wheel, but that's still like the blank areas where there is no information that is displayed, although it does cover a little bit of the heads up display. So you have to, like, you know, nudge around a little bit on the left side and then get to see the heads up display. But otherwise it's always visible, all the information on this driver's display. And in terms of the changes of the design, there is not much that you can do, but there are certain options available on left side and the right side gauges that you can customize. And in the middle there is just the speedometer, and at the bottom RPM counter and your fuel gauge, and also the which gear you are in, two-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, range, and odometer, and all of that stuff sits at the bottom. And there are buttons given on the right side to change the information on the right side display. And to do that, again, the buttons are a bit confusing because they are unmarked, and yeah, they have like this rectangular slot kind of design. But yes, you get down into the menu, then you can see the radio, or you can select the audio sources, and that's about it. That's what you can do with the buttons on this side. And on the left side, currently I have the coolant temperature, but if you have to change some more information, you go into the infotainment screen, into vehicle status, maintenance, let's say tire pressure, I can add it to the driver's display. Go back, brake pad life, oil, engine all that, gauges, transmission fluid, coolant, oil temperature. The coolant was what it was right now. Then we go back, trip information. Let's say I want to have the trip information, then that also you can place it there. I like how it's smooth and everything, you know, is seamless on this thing, and it's somehow quite quick. Also, then the air quality, you can keep it on that driver's display too. If you are someone who likes to keep a check of the air quality, then yeah, you can have that too. So that's how you change the information on that left side of the driver's display. And then we come to this infotainment screen. Now the infotainment screen is powered by Android operating system from Google, which is why you would see a lot of options like the Google Assistant, Play Store and everything. And it's decently quick. It's like using a tablet, so it's gonna be that way. It's decent, although not the rapid sort of, you know, responses from the screen. And I get it because this is like a huge screen that is being powered. So the first option is the vehicle status, but you can even customize these icons, so you can long press them and adjust it. And then vehicle status is all where we saw the information for different gauges. Then the Google Assistant. So hey Google, can you set the temperature to 24?
Okay, changing the temperature to 24 degrees.
So it can change the temperature, you can control the media and all of that stuff with the Google Assistant. And then the next option is the Play Store. You can download apps onto this system. Then the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment screen using Bluetooth, USB and wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. But the thing is that when the Android Auto or Apple CarPlay is connected and the maps are on, then the maps or the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, they don't occupy the entire screen, but there is like this much amount of, you know, edge that remains. So I wish that was completely filled. Then, you know, you could have just utilized that entire screen and made it look like an immersive effect. Because I'm going to come to the next option, because it comes with inbuilt map system also. When you open that, it completely occupies the entire screen. Then there is the camera also. So when you go into the camera also, this is the standard feed, like it again does not occupy the entire screen. Yeah, they could have used this entire area to, you know, make this entire feed from the cameras a little bigger, so that could have been, yeah, a nicer experience. Then the Alexa, then the details, settings, connections, vehicles, all your vehicle settings, audio options and everything. So this Enclave comes with 12 speaker Bose music system. Then the rear seat reminder, teen driver mode, so good decision making skills for that. You can put this car into teen driver mode. Then we go back, notifications, apps, date, time, display, sounds, profiles, privacy, all of the usual settings. Come back, then the ambient lights. So there are ambient lights given on the inside, in the front, on the door cards, the dashboard and on the passenger side too. So you press this ambient light option and you can customize different color options provided on this. And yeah, there are like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 different color options, and inside there are more different options provided too. Then adjust the brightness, switch it on and off. So again, that's a convenient option straight on the screen itself. Auto park assist, so this thing can self park or remove the car from the parking also. Then the climate, so you can control the on screen climate from this infotainment screen too, or there are also buttons provided. I'm going to come to the climate control in a bit. Then the Wi-Fi hotspot, then the audio options, then the inbuilt maps. So when we open the maps, you see that it occupies completely right to the edge, and this actually looks brilliant in terms of the appearance. So yeah, why just not, you know, have it like even for the Android Auto. And even on the driver's display, you can put the maps option, so you can change the layout of the screen. So there is a button given on the steering wheel on the right side, so you press that and you have a full view of the map. So now I have two maps right now, but yes, on the center screen in the driver's display, you can have full view of the maps, or you can press and have like just the driver assistant around you, that screen, whereas the speed, digital speed, sits on the left side, or you come back to the standard view. Then there is the phone options for connecting to SMS, phones, like dialing and everything. Then the controls options, where you will find the dome light, power window, lockout. So the child lock is there. Camera option, traction control, auto high beam, auto park assist. See more controls. This is where some more options are even hidden inside, because that also has the lights and the drive. So inside there is traction control, lane assistance, and the speed limiter, because speed limiter option is not there on the buttons itself on the steering wheel, but like 3 layers inside, which is sometimes a bit on the inside. Then the remote, so you can add up to like 8 remotes for your garage door, home control systems, all on the inside of this car. So if you forget your car garage remote, then it's right there inside the car. And at the bottom again, control options sits on the left side also, so while on the move you can access that option too. Then there are shortcut options on the left side for other options like the navigation, which you can scroll through to different options like Bluetooth, tire pressure. Or on the right side again, you can customize to audio, maps, or trip information. All that you can change. Then dedicated media option, then the maps, phones, and again controls. So there are lots of places from where you can access the controls options. So that's the infotainment screen. Now when we come to the steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel with Buick badging in the center. This is a flat bottom steering wheel, and it's manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic. There are also paddle shifters and some more buttons given on either side. So the paddle shifter is like a slim one on the top side, and the steering wheel has buttons on either side too, on the right side and the left side. So this is a heated steering wheel. The button is provided on the steering wheel itself, so you don't have to look for anywhere like on the touch screen or anywhere. So on the right side there are buttons given to change the driver's display information and the media controls, and even in the back there is the button provided for the volume control, whereas on the left side there are buttons provided for the cruise control, which is the adaptive cruise control, and the super cruise control, which is for the first time introduced on a Buick lineup. So you get the super cruise, so it's like a hands-free driving, which is pretty efficient, and it works on most of the highways only. Then there are buttons provided in the back for track changing. Then there is also a low range button, so you have to put the car into drive and then you can put the car into low range by pressing that L button. And in order to shift this car, because there is no gear shifter here, so that sits here like a stock, which is why there is no stock for the headlights or anything. So yes, it's again pretty simple: drive, neutral, reverse, and the parking. So again, that's also shift by wire. Now when we come to the air conditioning controls, so the air conditioning control is split between buttons and the infotainment screen, whereas the day-to-day operations can be controlled using the buttons provided on here. So it's still got a very minimum sort of less button options on the inside of this Enclave. And you get tri-zone air conditioning system on this Enclave Sport Touring, straightforward on and off button. Then the temperature change on either side. Then in the middle, the fan speed that you can change and then leave it on auto or take over the control. And then at the bottom of this infotainment screen sits that air conditioning control, so you can change the temperature on either side, and then you can even sync it from the top, fresh air, and you can see the flow of air. You can change that too. Then you can change the fan speed, and on either side in that air conditioning control there is also the heated seat option. So the driver and the passenger side seat are both the heated seats, and today it is put into good use because boy, it is super cold today, and which is why I'm being able to remove my jacket, because I've put like heater on and also the heated seat on the driver's side. And if you want to control it from inside the infotainment screen, as I said, there is a dedicated climate option. From there also you can control the temperature, fan speed, and then the flow of air and everything. And then there is also the rear air conditioning control option too, that sits at the bottom. You press that and you can change the temperature, then the flow of air, the fan speed, and also you can lock it or unlock it so that people in the back don't change any settings, or you can switch that off too. So that is how you use the air conditioning control on this Enclave. Now when we come to the charging, so in the front there are two USB ports, one type C and one normal, along with a wireless charger which is sitting right out here at a very convenient position. I like this. There's also a 12-volt power socket given underneath out here. For the second row of passengers, there are two more USB port and a power point. So that power point is an optional extra, so that's a 110-volt power socket that is provided. And for the third row of passengers, there are two type C USB ports given on either side. Now on this Enclave, in the center tunnel, there is this big center armrest, and also if you notice, there are no buttons or anything. There is just this volume dial that is given, so very clean interface in terms of its appearance. And there are also these extendable sun visors, including a panoramic sunroof. Again, that also I've kept it open, so makes it very bright on the inside because I want more light, because today it's quite dark. So yeah, this actually helps a lot, this panoramic sunroof. Now in terms of the storage, so in the door cards you can put about 1.5 liter water bottle and some more storage on the side. Then there is this sunglass holder. There is also this glove box, decently big. There are two flexible cup holders provided. There is this big storage underneath the armrest. Yeah, this came out, and inside this center armrest you can put 4 1/2 liter water bottle. It's pretty big. Driver side, the same amount of storage. Then there is this big storage underneath the center tunnel, which is like a floating one, and at the bottom of that there is this big storage in which, I don't know, you can put like something, a small sort of bag in there. It's that big. And in the second row on either side of the door cards, again you can put 1.5 liter water bottles. And because the second row of seats are captain seats, so there is no center armrest, whereas for the third row of passengers there are also cup holders provided on either side. Now on this Buick Enclave, there is also the emergency SOS button, including the OnStar feature, which is a complimentary package provided for 3 years on this Enclave. And there are also more buttons given on the left side of the driver's side. So the first button is the all-wheel drive, so you can switch from two-wheel drive to all-wheel drive, two-wheel drive being the front wheel drive if you leave it as default, and then you can switch to all-wheel drive. Also very convenient place, so it's easy to just select all the time and also increase your efficiency for day-to-day driving. And there is also the mode button, so there are 4 different driving modes provided on this Enclave. So the first one is the Tour, Sport, Snow or Ice, and then the Off-road. So straight 4 different driving modes, and accordingly the car would switch from two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, switch off the traction and all of that if that's necessary according to those driving modes. Now when we come to these seats, so these are the leather seats, black color, and they are perforated seats with the white color piping on the sides and white color stitching also. And the perforated seats are not the cooled seats but just the heated seats. And the seats themselves, they are again much more on the softer side, but not entirely very soft. I wish they were slightly a little more comfortable, but still they do offer, with the right adjustment, like good amount of support overall. And they are broad seats. Also the headrest have like ST badging on them, and they are also quite soft. The backrest and the bottom bit is nearly like flat, so which is how it makes that the sort of broad appearance and also the feel to that too. And the underside support, that's again decent because these seats are quite longer also. And in the back there is good amount of support for the back, although there is 4-way lumbar adjustment also. So with that you can have a lot more adjustment going on the back side also. So in terms of the adjustability, so the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 4-way lumbar adjustment, whereas the passenger side seat is 6-way electronically adjustable and 4-way lumbar adjustment. Now in the second row there is plenty of space for the second row, so if you want to ever be a passenger, be in the second row, because look at this amount of knee room here is more than a palm. The headroom again is also pretty decent, plus this panoramic sunroof just gives you so much of visibility all around. And even in terms of these seats, they are so comfortable, although I've pushed the seats back all the way because these seats are also slidable, and the backrest is also slightly adjustable in terms of the adjustment, or you can recline completely. And then look at this, this is like nearly a lounge setting on the inside. But let me just put it up right now. And in terms of the leg space, you can slide your legs under the seat because there is good amount of room there too, so you can really stretch yourself into these seats. And then because these are the captain seats in the second row, so there is this handrest here, you can put it away or put it down, and on either side both are at the equal level. So you're going to be sitting quite balanced on the inside. And in terms of these seats, again, they are the perforated seats with the white color stitching, white color piping, and then the headrest also have the ST badging stitched on them. And the seats are not the heated or the cooled seats, but just for the design purposes. But in terms of the comfort, they offer good amount of, in fact, more comfort than the front seats is what I have noticed. These seats are more comfortable. They offer good amount of support underneath my thigh, also sometimes lagging, but I don't mind because I can stretch my legs and get all around support through these seats. They are like the flat seats, so not much support offered on either side to hold you into these seats. But again, this is not something where you're going to be just going from aggressively on either side, turning around. So the risk of falling out from these seats is going to be not that much. And there are also grab handles given in the second row, but only for the second row of passengers. And in terms of the adjustment, as I said, you can push these seats, and also there is a button provided on the side of the seats on either side. So you press that and these seats will electronically fold away in the front so that you can enter into the third row of seats. So another button is provided also in the back side. I'm going to jump into the third row and show you where exactly that is located. In terms of the door card quality, again, this is all leather cover, soft touch materials. There's no corner cutting. Glad that it's not done like that. And there's also leather covered handrest with the white color stitching where are going to be resting hands. The plastic around the switches is actually very good. The plastic quality overall inside the car, I've really liked it. It feels a much more premium car than just an average mid-size SUV. So it's like borderline luxury SUV experience. Also, only at the bottom, yes, there is normal plastic, but again, good amount of plastic. The floor itself is just super flat. There is no step or anything. And there are also two cup holders given behind this center tunnel, again flexible ones. There's also a storage given at the bottom side, and as I said, there is a plug point and two Type-C USB ports also, and the control for the rear air conditioning. So the vents for the second row are given on the roof, whereas for the third row of passengers there are also vents provided, but they are on the roof side, which is much more vertical than on the horizontal face. And in terms of the controlling, so there is like a dial given to control the fan speed and switched on and off. Then the temperature you can adjust, and the mode, which is for the flow of air, you can decide that or leave it in auto or control it by yourself and switch it off. So very straightforward operations given on this. And because these are the captain seats, so there is no handrest or anything, but in fact there's like a passage here. So maybe if you want to go into the third row of seats, then you can do that too without going outside, because if it's a cold day like today, then you don't want to do that. So let me just go into the back. So welcome to the third row, and the first impressions are that it is still a very comfortable space even in the third row, and which is quite rare in the mid-size 7-seater segment. But even any car from GM, the 7-seaters that I've recently reviewed, all of them have been super comfortable, and that is what I really like. It does not make you feel like that you're making a lot of adjustments in terms of the space in the third row. Now the second row seat is actually somewhere in the middle, so that the second row also has the leg space and comfort, whereas the third row also has the space, like someone like me who's 5'11", and look at my legs, they are nearly touching the seats, but not too bad. The headroom is also quite good for the third row again, and there is a cutout to give you that extra bit of room in the third row also. And the seats are again the leather seats, black color, no white colors piping or anything, but white color stitching. There are 3 headrests, so 3 people can sit here, but I don't think like 3 fully grown adults can fit in the back. 2, yes, along with a small kid in the middle. And there are also 3 headrests, and these are the perforated seats, but they are not the heated or the cooled seats. And in terms of the comfort, yes, they are pretty comfortable, especially for a third row of seat, although I'm still sitting quite low down, but not way too low down that I feel like I'm just like not being very comfortable in the back side. And the angle that my legs are making, you can make out from that it's missing that under thigh support, but still the seats are actually very, very comfortable. And on either side there are cup holders, as I said, and some more storage provided, along with a USB type C port given on either side. There are also windows given in the rear too, and again there is no tunnel or anything. But let me just put the seat back, the second row, and show you how much space is remaining after that. Gosh, yep. So now once I put the second row of seat completely back, yes, there's not much room to put my legs now on the inside. Then it's the third row is much more for the kids. All 3 kids can utilize that in the back. There are also air conditioning vents given on the roof on the top, so even the third row of passengers can remain cool or warm during the summers or winters. Now there's a button provided here on both the seats in the second row, so you press that and you can fold these seats away so that you can get in and out of the car. So let me press that and it electronically folds away, and the opening is actually pretty big on this Enclave, so it's just going to be very easier to get in and out of the third row of seats on this Enclave Sport Touring. So this 2025 Buick Enclave Sport Touring is powered by a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that produces 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque, and this engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission that sends the power to all the 4 wheels via an all-wheel drive system. Now, in my previous video in the GMC Acadia, I had mentioned that this engine is actually very, very smooth. The power and the gear shifts all are very nice. Like you don't really feel that you need more power apart from this for everyday driving. And it's just that in the Acadia there was a bit of noise issue with the engine, but there seems to be a lot of sound deadening and insulation done here, not to forget the active noise cancellation that this car comes with. But on this it's slightly on the quiet side. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more quieter here than on the Acadia, and it's still not to forget that there is still some amount of noise from that engine, especially when you hard accelerate. Yeah, that's when you can hear it. Even when I put this car into the sport mode, things do improve slightly. The steering becomes slightly stiffer and the response now is a little more immediate, but then the revs build up slightly because the boost takes a little while, about 2,500. That's when it starts to kick in, so just give the car a little bit of that time to just give you that power and torque. But otherwise, yes, it's a fairly decent power plant sitting in the front. Now when we come to the efficiency, so on daily basis on highways I've managed to get around 9 to 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas within the city I've managed to get around 11.5 to 12 liters per 100 kilometers. In terms of the suspensions, they are on the comfortable side. There is good amount of absorption happening through these suspensions, and yeah, they glide over through these bumps very efficiently. And the thing is that even though this is a 7-seater mid-size SUV, but when you're driving, it feels like you're driving a much smaller, you know, SUV that ways, and that's a remarkable thing in terms of the dynamics. And also the roll is kept under check also, but the damping and the absorption is actually very good on this. Now when you come to the steering, there is an electronic steering provided, and as I said, if you switch to the sport mode, slight improvement in terms of the response, but yes, it's still sort of the SUV-ish kind of response from this steering. It's a light, and especially at lower speeds, it's like you're driving a very light vehicle. But the thing is, if you accelerate and you go at higher speeds, then the steering tends to become a little more, you know, slippy slightly around, and then yeah, it becomes light, and it's actually a lot too light sometimes, I feel, for a car this big. So I'm slightly adjusting, constantly correcting at especially like about 120 kilometers per hour. So yeah, that's the steering. And the feedback, it's generally good from it. I can feel the sense of direction and everything through the steering quite accurately. Now when we come to the brakes, there are 4 disc brakes given on this, and they function very well on this Enclave. So if I sort of do some light sort of pressing, yeah, there's progressive pedal setup also given on this. Now when you come to the noise and the vibrations, even though the front has the acoustic glass, but it's still got some amount of, you know, general noise leaking inside, especially through these side windows. There's noise, there's whooshing, but the tire noise, again, that's not much coming inside. And even though these are 20 inches, but the softness they offer and the absorption that they are doing is actually quite good. And another sound that you will hear is from the engine. That's the only thing. And in terms of the build quality, so far it seems to be looking very good. And as I said, this is completely refreshed, so yeah, there's a new sort of, you know, the materials actually look like they will last slightly longer, especially the plastic and all. It's not a cheap plastic, but good quality plastic fit and fitting given on this. Now when you come to the safety system, so there are 8 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There's also a middle airbag given on the driver's side seat for the front passenger, so there are actually 9 airbags. Then there are also curtain airbags given in the frames. There are also child isofix points in the second row of seat. There's also a 360-degree camera system, but the only complaint I have is that it does not occupy the entire screen. Otherwise the quality of it is fantastic. Only if it can just become slightly more bigger, then it would be nicer. There's also lane keep assist. The button is again on the inside of this screen, the touch screen, so you can switch it on and off at any point of time, you know, immediately, so you don't have to go through different layers into the settings to do that. Then there is tire pressure monitoring system, there is ABS, there is the front collision warning, the rear collision warning, pedestrian warning. There's a camera mounted in the front that manages all that. The super cruise control system, blind spot warning, adaptive cruise control. You can adjust the lane gap, you can adjust the gap from the front vehicle and all that easily through the buttons on the steering. And also there is an LED light on the steering also on the top side, so to mention when the Super Cruise is active or it's going to disengage, or when it is running with the green LED. So yeah, all of that is also provided. But yes, in terms of the safety systems, yes, pretty much everything has been given on this Buick Enclave. Now when we come to the pricing, so this Sport Touring comes in at $59,499, and there are about 8,000 worth of optional extras, a little over $8,000 worth of optional extras, and eventually this thing comes in at around $68,000, and you can add taxes and stuff and all of that depending on various provinces. But yes, it's nearly edging towards that, GMC, Chevrolet, even Cadillac, if it goes even more pricier, which is the Avenir, because it starts from 70 and you add a lot of optional extras. And the optional lists on this are the foldable seats, those electronic ones, third row and the second row, the heads-up display. So all of that is, yeah. I mean, if you want something more fancier, then you can opt for those sort of systems. But I feel like the preferred version is the one to go for, because it's got all the usual stuff. It's got the same screen, this 30-inch screen, so you don't miss out on that. And it's also got the all-wheel drive, the same engine and everything. It's just if you want something more extra, like the Super Cruise and all of that, because that also is $4,000. So if you want that, then you can opt for, yeah, maybe that. But otherwise, the preferred variant is actually very good. Now at the end of the day, it's still going to be cheaper, like maybe around $57,000, $56,000, and that's actually a good price for a mid-size 7-seater SUV. But the thing is, the competition inside this segment is just heating up, and GM itself has 3 more cars in the same segment, and which is why the pricing is little on the lower side. Otherwise it would, as I said, would compete with GM and Chevrolet and Cadillac and GMC Acadia basically. But yes, in terms of the pricing, the model that I suggested is the one to go for. Otherwise, yes, this becomes slightly on the expensive side, especially with the optional extras. And then looks are subjective. I still like the cleaner look on this car, and on the inside it's also very easy to use. There is a lot of tech provided, so yes, with that, this car is going to be very easy to live as a daily also. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video, and if you've liked this video, make sure to press that thumbs up button. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.